Hey guys, welcome in. We are going to be getting started here in about 5 minutes. So we'll get started with the consumer app training in about 5 minutes. If you don't already have it, go grab a beverage, go grab some notes, go grab your phone, because we're actually going to go through the app live together during the training. And get ready here. We'll get started in about 5 more minutes. 5 minutes. All right, guys, 2:30. So let's go ahead and get started with our consumer app training. Happy Friday afternoon. Super happy that all of you are joining me today on this training webinar. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping. I'll introduce myself and then we'll get started. So first things first, this is a Zoom webinar. It might be a little bit different than Zoom calls you've been on in the past. Your camera is automatically turned off. So you can see you don't have the Brady Bunch view of all of us and all of our screens. Cameras are automatically turned off and you are automatically muted as well. You don't have to worry about any background noise or anything chaotic that's happening in your house or wherever you are. We can't see you, we can't hear you either. That being said, if you do look at the bottom of your screen here when you're in the webinar, you should see 3 buttons. One of those says raise hand. So you do have the ability to raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question. I can actually unmute you and then we can have a conversation live. Another one of those buttons should say chat. And so you can click on that button. It'll actually pull up a little chat window where you can type in answers to questions that I'm asking you, or you can ask your own questions and I can view those and see those as well. So we will be using that chat window pretty regularly. I would recommend you have that one pulled up at minimum. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Marty Miller. I am your regional technology trainer for South Texas. I believe I've met several of you, but probably not all of you when I did the last training there at the library we had earlier in the year. Wish I could be back at the library hanging out with you guys, getting to see everybody, shake hands, give hugs and handshakes to everyone, but it is what it is. So we're doing this via Zoom. It doesn't mean we won't be back together come Q3. We'll have to see, because I am happily married, live here in Katy. We have twin 5-year-old girls, and little Lily Mae, daughter number 3, is coming August 19th. So my intent is to get all of my training done for Q3 before the baby comes, but you know how that is. So we'll see what we can do to get that taken care of and see you guys here in a few months. Today's training, we're going to talk about the KW Consumer app. Just to make sure you guys know how to use the chat, what kind of app is it? What kind of app is it? Sorry guys, I had something in my shoe there, just driving me nuts. What kind of app are we talking about today? I want you to open the chat window. I want you to type in there. What type of app are we discussing today? I know you guys knew how to use the chat. If I asked you what your favorite drink was, I bet you could throw something in there. What kind of app? It's KW Consumer app, correct? All right, there we go. Now we're talking. Everybody found where the button was hidden and they start talking to me. Great, yes. Jerry, Kimberly, you're 100% correct. It's a consumer app. I know that sounds a little silly, but I want to make sure that we get that out of the way first, because a lot of the questions, the comments, the feedback I've gotten both before and during teaching this class are agents wanting the consumer app to do something for the agent's point of view, right? And we need to make sure that we remember that this was an app developed for our consumers. So we're actually going to take the first 2/3 of this class and we're going to put our consumer hat on, and we're actually going to use the app as the consumer would use it. The reason I'm going to walk you through that process is the reality is a lot of your consumers will already have a real estate app on their phone. And you need to know the features of our real estate app so that you can then talk to them about why ours is better, why they should use ours, why they should stop using those other apps that they may be using. Okay, so that's what we're going to do for the first 2/3 of the class. At the last third, don't worry, you will get to put your agent hat back on, and we're going to talk about how KW Command integrates with the consumer app and the things that you can see happening there. Okay, so we're going to start off by showing you the app. So I'm going to go ahead and click on share, and let me change that real quick over to my iPhone. Give me 2 seconds. And there we go, and there we go. All right, so you guys should now, well, I didn't have my home screen. There you go. Now I'll be able to see the app. Top left-hand corner there, that is the KW Realty app. It has a white background. It has red letters, KW Realty. If you have not already, you do want to go download the app from the App Store. So that's homework item number 1, is make sure that you go download it. Now, when you go to download the app, you are downloading a non-branded version of the app. Okay, when I say that, it means that you haven't actually connected that app back to yourself as the agent. Okay, so you need to make sure that you do that next. Same thing's going to happen if the consumer goes in and actually downloads the app without following one of your branded links. How you're going to know that you actually have a branded versus non-branded app is to click on the More button in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll see a little silhouette of a person, and you can click on More. At the top of that screen, if it shows your headshot, your name, your license number, then you know you're using a branded version of the app. If it says something like this, then you'll know you don't have a branded version of the app, meaning it's a generic version. It has not been tagged or connected to an actual agent. So if yours says this, we want to go ahead and click on Find an Agent. And then you can see that's where we're going to start searching for our agent. Okay, we're in. You guys are in Baytown, right? I think it's Baytown. Sorry, I'm training number 14 out of 29. Sometimes I'm like, all right, yes, Baytown. So if I wanted to search for an agent in Baytown, I didn't know exactly who that agent was yet. I could go ahead and start searching for Baytown, Texas. And you'll see I'm going to get a list of agents that work in the Baytown, Texas area. You can start seeing them all pop up here on the screen. Now, let me ask you a question. If I got to this screen, now these agents, all the agents on this screen, all amazing agents, right? All 6 of them doing an amazing job. However, if you were the consumer, which one of these 6 agents would you most likely do business with? Throw it in the chat there. Of the 6 agents on the screen, not to say anything negative about anyone on here, but which of these 6, if you knew nothing about them, would you do business with? There we go, right? Juanita, Michelle, Kimberly, someone with a face. I like the way Kimberly said it. Yes, absolutely. Right now, you can see that only Maria actually has her profile photo loaded. So your homework item number 2 is to make sure that you have gone into KW command, right? agent.kw.com. Click on the top right-hand corner. You're going to see there's a settings button. Go into settings, go into connect settings on the left-hand side, and fill out your marketing profile. Got to make sure that your bio is included, that you've got your website. If you have a team, that your team logo is included, that your full, your actual bio about you is included, phone numbers, emails, all of those types of things. In order to see what your current profile looks like within the app, you can actually search for yourself. So I'm going to search for myself. I'm going to choose myself from the list. And then you can see, here's my profile. Got my headshot uploaded. Because I have a team, you can see my team name is listed. Then there's my team logo. The address at the market center where I hold my license. My real estate website. I've got my specialties and designations, phone number, email, and then my entire bio as well. Okay. Once you find yourself and you want to tag or connect this app to yourself, you would click on Get in Touch. And then you'll see it says, this will designate Marty Miller as your agent. And I'm going to click on Confirm. Now, when I come back out, you will see I now have the banner that says, Marty Miller is your agent. I now know that this app is branded to me. This app has now been branded to me. So that's the next piece of homework that you have. Make sure that you have downloaded the app. Now, one thing I didn't tell you, if you've not downloaded it before, you will need to register for an account, just like any other consumer would. Remember, this is a consumer app. The app doesn't know that you're a KW's agent, and really doesn't care that you're a KW agent. It's just asking you to create an account. If it's the first time you've used it, you will need to log in, create an account with your email address, your name, right, your password, all of that type of stuff. So you will need to create your own account. I've had people that have gone to attempt to log in, they haven't created an account. They're attempting to use their connect or command or KW password, and it's not actually working. So you will need to create your own account in order to use the app as a consumer. Let's dive into searching for property, So I'm going to click on that magnifying glass in the bottom left-hand corner, and you can see it automatically pulls up the map. Let's see, Michelle and Julia. I'm going to put you guys both on the spot because I know you love this kind of stuff. Michelle, you've now been made a co-presenter or a panelist. There we go. And Julia, I think you're on here. Yes, you are. Here we go. All right. So now both of you have the ability to unmute yourself should you choose to. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I hope you guys will interact with me. I hope this is Julia, TL Julia, and not, or OP Julia, not Julia, some other Julia. But if it is, oh well. All right, Michelle, I see you unmuted yourself. I've got a question for you, Michelle. Last 12 months, next 12 months, let's talk about vacations. One you went on or one you have planned. Tell me about it.
Well, last year I went on a cruise, which was awesome because I could truly relax.
You went on a cruise. Okay, I love that. What about in the U.S.? Somewhere that you actually went in the U.S. Now you can see I didn't prep Michelle.
Oh, okay. Well, I have family in Kansas.
Okay.
So they have my app and they use it because they can see all the homes and they love it.
Do you have a particular place that you like to go in Kansas? A restaurant, a mall, a store, anything along those lines?
In the U.S., dang. I like to travel everywhere. Destin.
Destin. Where would you go in Destin? Is there a particular beach, a particular restaurant, a particular? I totally put
Destin Beach. I can't remember of the name of the beach.
All right. So let's just throw out some examples. Have you ever been to Disney World?
Yes.
Have you ever looked for homes for sale around Disney World?
No.
Do you know any of the addresses around Disney World?
Nope.
That's okay, I don't either. Let's just search for homes for sale around Disney World. There we go. Does that look like Disney World?
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Drive. All right, cool. Now let's say you're not a fan of Florida. Let's go to California instead. Ever wanted to buy a house near Disneyland? There's houses for sale around Disneyland. Let's not get too political, but what if I wanted to move near the White House? Homes for sale around the White House. What if I wanted to see the Statue of Liberty from my second floor balcony? I didn't even spell it right and it still pulled up, right? There's the statue. There's homes for sale around the statue. I'm a big wine guy. So my background is high-end restaurant management. I worked for Perry's Steakhouse, Papa's Brothers Steakhouse. They used to take us to Napa pretty regularly, and Silver Oak Winery was one of my favorites. I've always thought about what it'd be like to live out in wine country. And then I look at the prices of the homes and I realize I'm glad that I still live in Texas. What about, how many of you went to the rodeo this year? Maybe not this year, maybe the year before. And you know how long that drive is back home, especially if you've enjoyed yourself in the wine garden, for example. What if I just wanted to buy a house near the Reliant Stadium? Michelle, how many addresses did I put in going through those examples? Did I use a single?
My internet's cutting out. I couldn't understand you.
That's okay. Did I use a single address when putting those in?
No, you use landmarks.
Right. I didn't use an address. I didn't use a city. I didn't use a state. And yet the KW Consumer app was able to zoom me in on the area that I was putting in and show me houses for sale around that landmark, like Michelle said. So this is item number one that sets our app apart. The ability for our app to actually partner with Google. You can even see Google in the bottom left-hand corner there, right? So we have a partnership with Google that when you're typing in that top box there, if it's not a city, state, or address, it's relying on Google to say, what is most likely the address associated with this search term? And then we're gonna zoom in the map on that actual area. So that's one thing that our app does that a lot of other apps don't do. If someone says, I use Zillow, say, great, show them that example, Disneyland, Disney World, the White House, Statue of Liberty. Go search for those things in the Zillow app. You're not gonna get anywhere near any one of those items, right? So make sure that their client understands and that you understand we can actually search for landmarks. Now let's talk about neighborhoods. Michelle, Julia, any neighborhoods there, or guys in the chat, throw in a popular neighborhood there in your area. Who's got a popular?
Plantation.
Say it again, Julia.
Plantation.
Plantation.
On Cotton Bayou. But if you could just do Plantation.
That's the full name of the neighborhood. It's called Plantation?
Yeah, Plantation on Cotton Bayou. B-A-Y-O-U.
Is that Plantation on Cotton Bayou?
Some of it.
Does that look like the neighborhood?
Part of it, not all of it.
Let's see, is that more of it?
It has a little bit more on some, or it's a little bit bigger. Like, oh, maybe so. I saw Winfrey Oaks. That's probably it. Is it getting better?
So there's Cotton Creek, Veranda, Cotton Creek Estates, Hackberry Creek, Trinity Cove, Winfrey Oaks.
Yeah, that kind of looks good. Michelle, doesn't that look pretty good?
Yeah, it looks much better than it did last week.
So here's a unique opportunity that we have within our app, right? Is the ability to actually search by neighborhood. I didn't have to put Baytown in. I didn't put in Texas. I literally just put in the actual neighborhood and it did a search for what's the most likely that this refers to, right? What's the most likely neighborhood that this term refers to? And it brought up Plantation on Cotton Bayou there. Okay, so we have a couple of different options as we start going through. As we start to zoom in on our map, you'll see these blue boundaries. Guys, those represent next door neighborhoods. So neighborhoods that have been submitted to nextdoor.com And then next door has verified with additional neighbors and homeowners that these are the correct boundaries and this is the name of the neighborhood. As I start to zoom in on my map, you can see I'm going to start to get neighborhood names. So I can see just on the map right now, we've got Crown Colony, Palm, Magnolia Landing, Cottonwoods Estate, there's Lakes of Champions, right? So let's just say, looks like a few homes for sale in Lakes of Champions. I want to know more about that neighborhood. I can click on the name of the neighborhood, and I can actually start getting detailed information about that specific neighborhood. There's a market snapshot on the page. There's what locals are saying. There are some commute times. In this case, it's from Mount Bellevue. I can see information about the schools, including the student to teacher ratio and what the national scores are. And then if there were any private schools, I would be able to see a little mark there for private schools. If there were any nearby restaurants, grocery stores, fitness centers, nightlife, cafes, then you would see underneath places, amenity information there. And then I can see the homes that are for sale and swipe left in the neighborhood and see all of the homes that are for sale there in that neighborhood. So if I minimize the neighborhood, then it takes me right back to the map, and then I can kind of bounce around different neighborhoods should I choose to kind of see what's happening in each one of those neighborhoods. So neighborhood search, that's not available in all apps, and yet it is available in the KW Consumer app because of Keller Williams' partnership with Nextdoor. Now, all that being said, we still have the ability to search for just a good old-fashioned standard home, right? So at the very top of the screen there, under the address bar, you can see that I can put in a price range. Let's say I want to be between, I don't know, 250. I'm just clicking on this white dot and dragging left, clicking on the white dot or dragging right, and now I'm dragging left. 250 and 400. 4 or 3 daughters. Ooh, not 4. 3 daughters. Got to have 4 bedrooms. Let's click on 4+ there. Property type, we've got dogs. I need single family homes. I can click on the more button next to houses. And then you can see I have some additional search criteria that I can put in. The app defaults to for sale active listings. So active listings that are for sale. If for any reason the listing is pending, I would have to toggle on pending in order to see it show up on the app. You also have some additional toggles there with coming soon, new construction, foreclosures, and short sale. As I will tell you, there are 1,400 plus MLSs in the US, and they change their information pretty regularly. So right now I can tell you, for example, HAR, there's a disconnect in the foreclosures and short sale. So they're working on getting that fixed. Just know that, oftentimes it's one little change that the MLS will make that will then break the feed coming into the app. So we got to give it a little bit of grace because those MLSs don't always tell us when they make a change. This app does also allow you to search for properties for lease. So you can see for sale, underneath that status box, I actually have another box that says for rent. And I can click on that. Now I'll be looking at leased properties as compared to looking at properties for sale. I'm going to go ahead and toggle back on the for sale. I can scroll down a little bit further. Bathrooms, 3 daughters means at least 3 bathrooms. Living area, we're at about 2,100 square feet right now. It's made the quarantine very interesting. So we're going to do 25 to 35, let's say. And then I can click on done. You can now see on the map, whoops, let me put that price back in there, 250 to 400. You can see on the map the properties that match the criteria that I have put in. So right now you can see there are 4 of them on the map that I'm actually looking at. Now I can also say, well, looking at this, let me see. I think I want to be, let's just say, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. I want to be west of 3180, but I want to be north of whatever that other road is. So I can actually click on draw and say, this is the triangle, and I am just tracing this triangle on my screen that I want to live in. Now it's going to zoom in on that area and only show me properties for sale in the area that I just traced. That took a while, guys. I had to put in price, I had to put in bedrooms, bathrooms, single family house, my square footage, my price point. If I want to be able to easily access this search anytime I'm on the app, I can actually save it as a favorite search. So if I click on the save ribbon in the top right-hand corner, I can now call this, right? And let's just call this Baytown area homes. Now, whenever I'm on the app and I want to come back and actually check out that search, I can come to the bottom of the screen. Let's just say I was in here and everything's gone. I've cleared all my filters. I just logged into the app. None of my filters saved. And I'm over here on this side of town. And I'm like, wait a minute, where was that little area that I liked yesterday? I could click on saved. And at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see Baytown area homes. Let me click on that. Boom, takes me right back to that triangle that I drew. And there are the homes matching the criteria that I actually put in. So yes, Julia, I forgot to mention, yes, we are recording this. So I will send you guys the YouTube link probably Monday with the actual full uploaded video so you can send it out to your agents. So you can now see that you do have the ability to look at any one of those properties, but I can easily come back to this search. Here's the other cool thing, guys. You can set up multiple searches. You can see I've taught this class multiple times. And let me click on View All. And you can see here are all of the different searches that I've actually set up. So you could have a search for one particular neighborhood and then a second neighborhood. And then maybe it's a search for, like for me, I've always wanted to live on Lake Travis. So I've kind of got like this 10 to 15-year goal to move to be on the water, on Lake Travis, with the boat, the whole nine. Like you can see my boat right here. That's my wish list, right? My vision board items back there. And so I could set up a search right now, even though I don't have a plan to move to Lake Travis today or tomorrow. I could still set up a search just so I can get an idea of how much I need to save in order to purchase a home on the lake at Lake Travis. So these are just different ideas that they could set up saved searches for. Let's go back to our search. Now I want to actually, before we do that, what's the school district out there? What is the name of your school district?
Barbers Hill.
Barbers Hill. Is it Barbers Hill Independent School District?
Yes.
Okay, so I can actually search Barbers Hill Independent, and you see it shows up there at the bottom. So there is Barbers Hill Independent School District. Now, what school district is to the left of that? Is there another school district out there?
Goose Creek.
Goose Creek Independent. Maybe it's not called Independent. What's the school called?
I thought it was.
Is it?
I thought.
We're going to give it a go.
Come on, Baytown people on the phone. What is it called?
CISD, GCISD. Goose Creek.
Oh, Consolidated Goose Creek CISD.
There we go. All right, so Goose Creek Consolidated. Well, let's just give it a go and see if that shows up. Nope. Goose Creek Consolidated ISD. We're going to put that in. We're going to keep going and see if we can get it here. Goose Creek Consolidated. It should have all of the school districts in here. Consolidated.
Yeah, and it's bigger than Barbers Hill, so.
Consolidated Independent. Is that where we're going with this? It's a long school district name. Good Lord. All right, we're going to see. Oh, still not pulling it up.
Yeah.
It's pulling up probably where Goose Creek.
That's it. It's huge. Like, it's a very large school district. Oh, I guess the boundaries are different.
Let's see. Is there another one out there? I thought I saw one more in the Barbers Hill and GCISD. Looks like they're the same. What's CISD?
Dayton. There's Dayton ISD.
Dayton. Let's see if we can get that one. Yep, there we go. There's Dayton Independent School District. So there you can see that school district boundaries, right? I'm not sure why Goose Creek isn't coming up, but we can put in any one of the other ones at least. We'll have to look into Goose Creek. Crosby Independent. And
Wrote the B.
School. See if that comes up. No, that one isn't pulling up for me. Well, we'll look into some of those school districts. Typically it works for all of, oh, I think I spelled Crosby wrong. I think I spelled it Crosby. Crosby Independent. There we go. Now you can see Crosby Independent School District, okay? So you do have the ability, I'm not sure why Goose Creek didn't come up, we'll look into it, but the ability to actually pull up independent school districts. Now, Name a high school, a popular high school there in the area. Julia, what's a well-known high school?
Say that again.
A well-known high school in the area.
Like Barbersville. You want to do LaPorte, Michelle?
Sterling. I got Sterling twice there.
Oh, the high school.
Yeah.
Sterling High School. Is that right?
Oh, see, it's in Goose Creek and it's not popping up.
Nope. All right. So
You can just do like LaPorte High School.
Ross S. Sterling. There we go. Danielle for the win. Ross S. Sterling.
Oh, good job, Danielle.
High School. So now it's not going to bring up the boundaries typically, and it should zoom in the map on where the schools were located. Is that where the school is located?
Yep.
South of Cedar Bayou, north of West Baker. So sometimes we'll have to say, hey, I want my kids to go to this school. We'd like to be near this school, whatever it may be. So you can still use the landmark search, just like we were using earlier, to actually find the school. And then you can start searching for properties around that school, if you will. So while it doesn't actually give you the zone of the high school, it's just going to zoom in on the actual school. Now, that being said, if you know that Sterling High School is this boundaries, you could always come in and draw this on the map yourself. Or if you're sitting in front of the consumer and they say that's really important, you could look it up and say, okay, that's roughly the boundary lines. So there's the actual boundaries for that high school. And then you could save that as one of their searches as well. So the ability to actually search by landmark includes searching by, right, well-known elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, etc. How many of you are like me? All right, so there's a button down below that says raise hand. Hopefully you guys have found it now. How many of you are like me? You are driving, you're walking, you're biking, and it doesn't matter where you are. You see a home for sale and you immediately say, I wonder how much it is. Right? Raise your hand if you're like me. Right? You don't even want to move. You have no plans to move, but you're just curious. You're nosy, right? How much is it? Guys, that can go for anywhere in Baytown, anywhere in Houston, anywhere in Texas, anywhere in the US. Anywhere I stand, sit, ride, walk, bike, drive right now, if I wanted to know how much is that house right there, you can click at the very top right-hand corner of the app. Do you see that little arrow cockeyed to the left? Click on it. It's going to take you immediately to where you're standing or sitting, right? And then you can say, okay, how much is that property? Let me zoom in. Oh, it's $360,000. I just drove by it. There it is. Okay, so it's a great way if you guys are traveling for business, if you're visiting family, right? Michelle, you're out in Kansas and you're like, I wonder how much homes cost out here. You can actually use the KW Consumer app, click on that arrow and boom, it'll show you houses for sale around where you currently stand, sit, or drive. How many times you're driving through a neighborhood and you're like, I don't even know what street I'm on. I don't even know where I am, but I'm kind of interested in knowing what that house is for sale for. Now it doesn't matter what street or neighborhood you're in, right? You can literally just click on the arrow, boom, it zooms in on where you are and shows you homes for sale around where you currently sit, stand, or are driving. Last cool thing about search, and then we're going to move on to the actual property listings. How many of you have gone on an appointment before, and whether it was a buyer showing or a listing appointment, and you're like, ooh, wish I would have known a little bit more about where this house sits or what it backs to, right? Does it back to power lines? Does it back to a bayou? Does it back to, I don't know, the high school marching band practice field? Does it back to a commercial car wash? That's the one that happened to me. I literally went on a listing appointment. I had a fully prepared marketing presentation and CMA, and I show up and the house backs to a commercial car wash. Like you look over the fence and there's all the bays, right? And like the drive-through one, and you got the guys playing the loud music, and I was like, great, this CMA is totally out the window because you're gonna lose 25 to 30,000 easy just because you back to that property, and I should have known that you back to that property. From that point forward, every time I went on a listing appointment, I actually used Google Earth. I literally downloaded it to my computer and my laptop, and I would look at it just to kind of get an idea of where this house sits. Wouldn't it be nice if we had Google Earth on our app? Well, guys, you remember we have an exclusive partnership with Google for our app, right? click on that More button in the top right-hand corner. We spent some time going through the listing filters, which you can see, but did you notice there was a second tab? It actually says Map towards the top right. Click on that tab. You see how you have a second view, Satellite? Click on Satellite and then click on Done. Now all of a sudden, I've got the aerial view of the area I was searching. I can even come back to my saved search and I can get an aerial view of what it's like with all those homes. I can actually start to zoom in and you can see, all right, let me get a little more idea about what this neighborhood looks like. Looks like these are kind of small lots, but some of them back to what looks like maybe it's a nature preserve or farmland, something like that. All right, for example, where I sit, if I were going to go on a listing appointment, let's say, let me find the little neighborhood that I was using earlier. Hunter's Terrace. If I were going on a listing appointment in Hunter's Terrace and the property I was going to sell did not have a pool, do you think I might be in trouble? Look at how many properties in this neighborhood have pools. Right? If I'm the one that doesn't, I am probably in trouble because it appears that most people in this neighborhood actually own a pool. So these are things that I can do when I start looking at property. What does the property back to? All right, does it back to a busy street? Right? If I was going to list this house, nice pool, but you back to a really busy street there. Right? So it's a great way to kind of get some more insight, whether you're working with buyers or sellers, or guys, whether you're actually using this app to look for homes to purchase yourself. You can use the satellite view to get a better idea of what's happening in and around that actual property. I'm going to go back and save our default view and then click on Done. Let's go back to those properties I was looking at in Baytown. Let's just choose one of these. 310 sounds like a good number. So I can see here's a property for sale at the bottom. I can click on the photo with my thumb and then drag slowly up, and you'll see it'll expand out the listing so I can see all of the information. At the top, there are 29 photos that have been loaded to the MLS. I can swipe left and see the photos actually come in, right? A couple of those are just a little slow to load. I can actually click on any one of the photos, and then I'll get the gallery view, if you will, of all of the photos. But if I wanted to get kind of a better bird's eye view of one particular photo, let me just click on this one. And then I can actually zoom in on the photo. And here's also what's cool, guys. Turn your phone sideways. When I turn it landscape, the photo then turns landscape, and I can get an even better view of what the picture looks like. Okay, so that's on any listing. I can click on any one photo and get into the gallery view. I can see all of the photos there. And then I can actually click on any one and actually zoom in, get a better view of what's happening. I can even turn my phone sideways and see that picture a little bit larger. From the photos, we go back into the actual listing, and you can see that this property is listed at 3099. There's some white space below the price above the address. If this property had gone through a recent price decrease, you would actually see a squiggly line pointing downward, and then the amount of the price decrease. So it'd have a squiggly line and say 10K, 12K, 2.5K, whatever it might be. Next, I can see that's a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 2,796 square foot home. Underneath the address, I have 3 buttons. I can choose to save this property, hide this property, or share this property. If I want to save it, I can just click on that Save button. And you can see, if you did not have any previous collections created, you would have one called Your Name Favorites. And you could save that property easily to your favorites. You could also, though, create what we call collections. And these are groupings of favorite properties that I want to distinguish from one another. So if I have a buyer looking at several different neighborhoods, they could create a collection for each one of those neighborhoods if they wanted to. So I could create a new collection and actually call it Baytown area. And then I would click on the dot just to the left of it. And then you would see that I can click on Save. And I have now created a new collection and added a property to that collection. If for some reason I'm looking at the map and I'm like, yep, that one's a favorite. Let me see what else is on here. And I dive into these other 3 and I'm like, yeah, we got young kids. I can't have a pool. I don't want to see this one again. Because as enticing as it is, we have young kids, I don't want to pull, I'm going to hide it. So if I click on hide, you can see the eye turns red, it gets kind of bloodshot. And then when I go back, watch what happens. That listing goes gray. 274, let me look at this one. Oh, oops. This is a good example of a price decrease. So you can see that actual price decrease is listed there as well. But I could hide this one. I could go back to the map. I could hide this one. All of a sudden now, the only property that I'm going to see available is that one that's on the map. Watch what happens when I go away from this property and then I come back. The only one that I can see is my favorite. So when you have people, you probably have buyers that have said this before to you. Oh, I look every day online and I just keep seeing the same 6 properties show up. Well, use my consumer app and you can actually hide those properties from ever coming up again on your map. It would only show you the ones that you think are favorites. So if you look at a property, you can decide, is this a keeper? I'll make it a favorite. If it's not, then I'll hide it. Then I would only ever be able to see properties that were favorites on my app. Now, for some reason, they're like, oops, I didn't know what that was going to do. Where'd that property go? I can click on more in the top right-hand corner again. Scroll to the very bottom of the filters, and then you can see show hidden listings. I'm going to click on that. You can see my results change to 4. I'll click on done in the top right corner. And then when I get back to my map, I can see there are those other properties. If I wanted to unhide them, I could just click on them, scroll back, and then click on hide again. And now the property has been unhidden, if you will, and shows up on the map. The last thing I can do is choose to share a property. So if I wanted to share this with my partner, my wife, my husband, my best friend, my mom, my dad, my sister, my agent even, I could always click on share. And then I have the ability to send a text. I can airdrop it. I can send a email, Facebook, any other sort of messenger app that you have on your phone. Now, just so you know, when you do send this out, it actually sends an individual link to a web page for this one property. So the person you're sending it to does not have to have the app, nor does it require them to download the app. It basically just sends them to a single property website about this app. Okay, so just a heads up there. As I start to scroll down, you can see that I have information included on every listing about Keller Mortgage and Keller Cover. Great CYA. I know all of us as acting as fiduciaries for our clients want to talk about different options with lenders, but one of them should always be Keller Mortgage. The ability that they have to get a $1,000 credit back at closing. They're actually not getting any origination fee or closing costs. It's a really great way for them to save a lot of money. So if for any reason you forget, which we hopefully are not, Keller Cover, Keller Mortgage, both included, they can save money on their loan and their insurance. Next, I got the public description from the property pulled from the MLS. Next, I got some additional information. Let me ask you this, Michelle, Julia, the chat, whoever wants to answer. Whoever can figure out the listing agent first, go ahead and throw it out there. Who is the listing agent on this property?
It doesn't have a listing agent, just the brokerage.
Wait a minute, Michelle. What if I want to circumvent you as my buyer's agent and contact the listing agent direct?
Well, the app protects you and they want that lead to come to you.
Dang Skippy, it does, right? Guys, your consumers are using apps that list the listing agent's information and their contact information. Some of them even list multiple agents, right? And they're the premier agents. You know which app I'm talking about. The KW Consumer app does not list the listing agent's name or information. So if your buyer has a question about this property, they're going to click on Ask Your Agent. You're going to get an alert from Kelly in Command about that request, and you're going to get the opportunity to answer their question. So that way it prevents them from attempting to circumvent you, protects all the hard work that you put in. Now, if they want to, they can go to the other app, they can go to a website. There's certainly ways, let's not be, let's be real, that they can find a listing agent should they work very hard to do it. But we didn't want to make it that easy on the KW Consumer app because we believe in protecting our agents and the hard work they've put in. So this is not necessarily a selling point for the consumer per se, but it certainly should be a selling point for you, why you want your consumers using your app versus those other apps, because that way you make sure all of the inquiries, and sometimes guys, they just don't know any better. Some of those apps literally says speak with an agent, and they think if they click on it, they're going to get to talk to you. And all of a sudden they get 5 phone calls from 5 random agents. None of them are you. And they're like, why are y'all calling me? Oh, you had a property inquiry request. And all of a sudden now you have the risk of losing your agent or losing your consumer. So that's just one reason why I love the KW Consumer app. It does not list the listing agent's information. Next, as we continue down, you can see home details. This is all information that's being pulled from the MLS. We've got information about the neighborhood. So you can click on Explore, just like we did earlier, and see information, in this case, about Cotton Creek Estates. So if I clicked on that, right, you can see then, and guys, the reality is every now and then this app crashes. I'm not trying to tell you that it's perfect. Sometimes it's a matter of my phone. Sometimes it's a matter of the app, right? So the newer your phone is, the better this app will work, just as a heads up. So if I click on Explore, then you can see the information that's included about the neighborhood. And I can kind of scroll through and get a little bit more information about Cotton Creek Estates itself. As I continue to scroll down, right, I can get out of the neighborhood view here. My fat finger on that arrow, there it goes. And I can get some additional market stats about that neighborhood. I can understand what locals are saying about the neighborhood. I can get walkability. Now that's driven by a company called Live By. And they literally look at what's the proximity to things like public transportation, grocery stores, local churches, parks. What do the walkways look like? Are there sidewalks, etc. Right? Just as a heads up there. Next, you can see you actually have the ability as a consumer to add up to 3 places. 3 places. What does the consumer always want to know? How far is it to what? How far is it to my work? How far is it to church? How far is it to the kids' school? How far is it to my parents' house? How far is it to Trader Joe's? I don't know, whatever their 3 most important places are, they can come through and actually put those places in. Michelle, what's your favorite restaurant there in the area?
El Toro.
El Toro. All right, is that the one on Garth Road?
Yes.
How the heck did the app know that that's the restaurant out of all the El Toros in the entire world, that that's the one I wanted, right? You can see that Google said, well, you're searching in the Baytown area. This is probably the one that you want. I didn't put in an address. I didn't put in the city. I didn't put in the state. I can actually click on it. It's going to tell us, Michelle, if you buy this house, it's going to be about a 15-minute drive to get to El Toro. Now, if for any reason you have that 1 extra margarita and you decide you want to bike home, which might get interesting, it's going to take you about an hour. And if you crash on your bike and then you got to walk shamefully home from there, it's going to take you 3 hours and 42 minutes to walk home. So probably want to drive. You can see that you can add up to 3 different places. What's the address for the Market Center, Julia?
7232 East Point Boulevard.
Am I spelling that right? 72. Did I do it right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. So I can now see if I buy this property, it would take me 15 minutes to drive to my favorite restaurant, 13 minutes to drive to work, right, to the office. And then that 3rd place might be my parents' house, my favorite grocery store, my church, whatever it may be, right? So they can see, the consumer can add these places in and they can change them in each listing. So if I say, hey, it doesn't really matter, maybe it's not El Toro anymore, I can actually click on delete, remove El Toro, and then put in the next place. Also, if I want to say, hey, what route would I most likely take from this location to get to work, I can actually click on directions. It was working earlier. And it would actually tell me the route using Google Maps to get to from that place to work, which is pretty cool. All right, next we can see the schools, which we've shown. Now these are the schools that this specific listing is zoned to. Are there any upcoming open houses on the listing? Then you see there's a mortgage calculator. Be careful with the mortgage calculator, guys. It does not include taxes. And so therefore it could definitely swing that payment pretty drastically depending on what the tax rate is and the price of the property. Again, Keller Mortgage and covered information. Here's a cool aspect. You probably have been looking at that button at the bottom left saying, when's he going to talk about that? I haven't seen that before. We now have the ability to schedule a tour from within the app. I can click on schedule video tour, and you can see as a consumer, I can decide up to 3 different dates I want to see the property. Now, as the agent, you don't have to be too concerned because they can't choose the same day. So they can't say, I want to go see it in an hour. Like they can call you and text you that, and yet they can't do it from your app. So I can say, I want to see it Saturday, anytime. Let's say Sunday, we go to church, so that would only be afternoon and evening. And then I could see it Monday too, if you're available on Monday, and yet only Monday night because I work. So then I can decide, all right, do I want to tour this property in person with you? In which case I could just choose in person and then schedule the tour. Or do I want to do it via live video? And if I want to do it via live video, what are my preferred platforms? So maybe I want to use FaceTime, Google Duo, and Facebook Messenger, Zoom, whatever. Then I can click on Schedule Video Tour. As the consumer, my request has now been submitted, and it says your agent will be in touch with you shortly. And I'll show you where that actually shows up in command so you can see that request in just a moment. Next, I can see activity for the home and then nearby homes that are also for sale. At the very bottom, you're going to see more information legally through Keller Williams and then some additional marketing information that I have added in my marketing profile. So that's the information that's included in the actual listing, and that's included in every listing that you look at. So remember, it's super cool. All of the contact and the requests are going to come back to you as the agent. Let's see. We have looked at saving a collection, favoriting, creating, hiding, sharing. Yeah. All right. Spend a lot of time in the search button in the bottom left. Spend a lot of time in the more button, bottom right. We've looked at saved. So you can see we have saved properties. Here's that collection that we just created and the one property we have in there. And I could put in notes because I may not remember next week why I added this to the collection. I can say, this is the one with, I can't spell for Jack today. Golly, tell it's Friday, right? Backyard, whatever, close enough. Okay, so that's a note for me to remember, why did I add this to the collection? Guys, your client can create collections, not just for homes that they're looking to purchase or sell. What if they're looking to do a remodel of their kitchen, and they just want to get some ideas about remodeled kitchens and what they look like? They could create a collection for remodeled kitchens. What if they want to build a pool and they want to get some ideas of some pools that are in the neighborhood that look really cool? They could actually create a collection for pools. And then when they meet with their designer, their interior decorator, their pool guy, their contractor, whoever, they could just pull up their collection and say, these are the pools that I like. See this one, and then move to this listing, see this one, and then move to that listing and see that one. It's an easy way for them to use it in that sense as well. At the bottom, we've got 2 additional buttons that we haven't really talked about much, and that's the feed and the guide. The feed is still being developed. You can see that anytime I've updated the timeline guide, there's some updates there. Soon, you'll actually be able to create saved searches for your consumer and have them show up in their app. Same thing with collections. You can actually start a collection and they would show up in your consumer's app. And then finally, we saw the guide steps that were being completed. So let's talk about guides, the last button, and one of the most important for you and for your consumer, on this app. So we're looking at 2 guides right now. There's a buying guide and there's a selling guide. Michelle, you sent me your app. I downloaded it. I'm now looking at it. I'm in the guide section. Who do you think I assume wrote this guide?
Me.
Yeah, so Michelle, what you're telling me is that this is the process that we're going to go through when I buy a house with you, correct?
Yes.
Are you sure you know every step that's included in this guide? And are you aware of everything it's saying that you're going to do, not going to do, what you recommend that we do? What are the actual steps, right? Just put Michelle on the spot because I asked her.
Yeah, I better read it.
Yeah, Michelle's like, oh, you know what, right? So all of you have homework. And that homework is to go through these 2 guides and click on every step. I want you to make sure that you know what these steps are saying. because there may be things that you agree with and there may be things that you don't agree with. Maybe you're thinking, that's not how I do it. That's not what I do. I won't do that. Or there might be some things you're like, well, I actually do this and it's not included during this step. I want to change the wording on that step. So my recommendation is sometime in the near future, maybe over the weekend, just start going through the guide and take down little notes about each step as you work through the guide. In addition, guys, let's just think about selling. KWRI, the marketing team, the dev team, amazing groups of individuals. And yet I sometimes wonder how many homes they have helped sell. Because right now, although each one of these steps are extremely detailed, they are showing your seller that it only takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to get to close. Anyone ever closed a property and only had to do 5 things? All right, your silence is deafening, okay? So I'm gonna assume that if you did, you would have raised your hand by now, but I'm guessing that none of you have closed a house only doing 5 steps. So you do have the ability to come in and add steps and kind of tweak some of these steps. So for example, showing your home, I would say that showing your home, although a very detailed step, could be broken out. You can see it even talks about, so how do I prepare my house? How do I stage? What do I do to prep? I would divide this out. I would say the first step is staging your home. Do you get to meet with my stager? Do I have a stager that I recommend? That information could be included. What are my personal staging tips? Like, hey, make sure you pressure wash the front driveway, fresh mulch, fresh flowers, good looking landscaping, mow your yard, declutter, depersonalize, fresh paint, like whatever those steps may be. Then it's preparing your home for photography and videography. One, make sure all the blinds, right? My photographer was big about these things. All the blinds had to face up because light on the ceiling makes a bigger room. Light on the floor makes it look like a smaller room. No ceiling fans can be on because that makes a blur in the photo, and he didn't want to take the time to turn off your ceiling fan and wait for it to stop. If it had a chandelier, multi-bulb fixture, every bulb, all of your bulbs have to be on, bathroom fixtures, etc. They have to be working, can't have any burnt out bulbs. And 2, they have to be the same wattage and same style because his lens could pick up the subtle differences between a daylight and a bright white and a cool white bulb, and then it looks weird in the photo. No cars in the driveway, right? No pets in the house. The backyard, if you have patio furniture, please make sure all cushions are properly adjusted and haven't blown around or whatever it may have been. So those are just some examples of things that you could do in photography, videography. Preparing your home for the MLS. You could talk about how you're going to get all the photos back from the photographer and you're going to describe them all. You're going to write a general description of the property. You're going to get the video back from your videographer and you're going to upload it to X channel, YouTube, whatever. You're going to prepare that link. You have the virtual tour, the Matterport, whatever you're doing, you're describing what you're doing. And then you're breaking out those steps so that you can walk the consumer through each one of these steps. Guys, you have the ability within Command to start checking these steps off for your consumer as you manage their guide. Okay, so I want to make sure that you use this. Guys, this is a tool in your tool belt. When you are on your buyer consult or the listing appointment, guys, if we don't think that we're competing when we're on an appointment with a client, you've got to be kidding yourself. Every single person you know knows at least 2 other realtors, guarantee you. So even if they are your best friend, they might be thinking about someone else. You got to make sure that you land the deal, right? Land them as a client. And you can use this app. Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Seller, I understand that buying or selling a home can be a stressful and very involved process. However, you will never need to worry about what we're doing during this process because you will have every step of the process included on my KW Consumer app. I will also check them off as we complete them, so you will always know where are we, what have we done, and what do we have left to do. If you wake up at 2 in the morning in a cold sweat, panicked, pull out your phone and you will know exactly what we have done. So if you're going to sell the app that way, just make sure that you're doing the next step, which I'm going to show you, is actually check off each of those steps in the opportunity, right? So that's the guide. Spend time reading through it, making notes so that you can do the changes, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. So right now, we're actually going to take off our consumer hat. We're going to put on our agent hat, and I'm going to show you a few things to do within Command to enhance the experience that your consumers are having with your app. So give me one quick second. And let's move the share over here. And there we go. All right, so I am now in command. Am I? Yes, I'm in command. So you can now see my command screen. We talked about guide, so let's jump into that first. How do I change, edit, add things to my guide? You're going to click on the consumer applet here on the bottom, second to last one. You're going to get 3 tabs along the top. The third tab is called Guide Builder. That's the tab that we want to be in. So Guide Builder. And you'll see once you come in the builder that there are actually 2 guides right now. There's only 2, right? So it's the buying guide and it is the selling guide. That being said, in the future, you will have the ability to actually create additional guides, meaning that it could be a first-time home buyer guide, a luxury property buyer guide, a foreclosure investor buyer guide. Maybe it's a farm and ranch seller versus a, right? So you can see all the different nuances that you could have with additional guides. It could be one for landlords or one for tenants, right? You could create a guide for those individuals and then assign that guide to that contact when they're in your app. Right now, though, it's just those 2. If we want to make edits to them, all we have to do is come over and click on the pencil. And let's just say the seller's guide was one that we just talked about. You can see here are the 5 steps that we've talked about that are automatically included. Now, if I want to edit one of the steps, I can click on it. You can see here's the photo I can edit. I can change the title or the subtitle, kind of the teaser text, if you will. And then this workspace text area, this is what shows up when I click on the actual step. So if there was anything that wasn't included that you do, add it in there. If there are things that are included that you don't do, remove them. If you want to break out a portion to another step, then you can edit that. And then at the bottom here, you'll see you have the ability to click on add a step. And that's where I can put in staging your home. Whatever, right? Then I got to grab a photo. I would come in and just find a photo that I want to use. Make sure that it's obviously royalty free, copyright free, something you have the right to use. And I could add that in. And then I've got a new step. Now, by default, it's going to put the step at the very bottom. But you can click on this tab with the 6 dots, and you can drag up or down and reorder those steps. So obviously, staging your home would be first. Then I can click on the step and come in and add the actual workspace text that goes in for this actual step. If I decide for any reason I don't like this step, I can click on the trash can. It'll actually remove that step altogether. So that's how you come in and edit your guides, your guide steps, the title, subtitle, card image, and your workspace text. Now, I talked to you earlier about the ability to actually come through and check off items that are happening within the actual guide. So first things, you've got to make sure that you've created an opportunity for the contact that is using your guide. So for example, I would click on this one. Here's Elena. She's one of my friends that has downloaded my app to test with me. And if I click on it, then you can see that there is a tab here that's called Seller Profile. If I click on the Seller Profile tab within Elena's opportunity, then I can see, yes, Elena has registered with my platform, meaning she has my app. And then I can click on Manage Guide and see here are the steps of our listing selling guide. And I've already completed showing your home. We have reviewed offers. I think there's a step in here between accepting an offer or whatever, negotiate repairs, etc. But now it's called inspection. I can check it off and click on Save Changes. It would say, are you sure? I'm going to save those changes. Now on Elena's app, she just got a little check mark next to step 3, showing that we had completed step 3 in her app. That's how you manage the guide and check off each of the checklist items. If you're adding additional steps in your guides, then you would see them here and you would have the ability to check them off as you go through them. So that's the guide. Now that we've spent time talking about the app and how amazing it is, how are we going to get it into our consumers' actual hands? 4 different ways, okay? The first way I'm going to show you, it's a little unconventional, and yet it does work. If you're actually in the app as a consumer yourself, you can actually share the app from within the app. This is typically meant for a consumer to share it with another consumer. And yet, if you're in as an agent, you can actually still share it by clicking on the More button in the bottom right-hand corner. And then you'll see a button that says Share the KW app. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Just like sharing a property, you can see the different methods. But just be careful, because if I choose, for example, to share it via text, it says, I use the KW app to search for my homes with my realtor, Marty Miller. Well, that's a little weird coming from me because I am Marty Miller. But I could change it to say something like, hey, Julia, please use the KW app to search for homes with me. Then it makes a little more sense, right? And then I could send that text to Julia. She would have my app link, and then the text has been a little reworded. She could go ahead and download it from that link. If she's on her phone, it'll take her directly to the app store, and she can choose to download it from there. So that's option number one, actually sharing it from within the app itself. The next option is actually sharing it manually through KW command. So let me go back in here. And you can see that if you come into the consumer applet, again, second to last one, and you click on Site and App Settings, okay, you'll see that from any one of these three pages, Site and App Settings. If you click on the URL tab, URLs, you'll see that you have the ability to then get a copy of your actual app URL. Here is your app URL. Now, if you're going to type this into something, be very careful. The front half, it's case sensitive. So the front half has to be lowercase, the back half has to be uppercase. I could also just click on copy and then send this to somebody. Now, if I send it in a text or an email and they click on it, they're just going to be taken to this page where they have the ability then to actually download my app. If they're on a tablet or on a phone, they can actually just click on one of the buttons. If they're on a laptop or a desktop, they can actually put their phone number in, and then the platform will send them a link to download my app from there. This page includes information about the app. It's got the app video from Family Reunion, and then it's got additional features here showcasing what the app can do. Excuse me. So you can manually share that app link with people that are in your database. So that's option number two. Share it from within the app. Share it manually, finding your command link in the consumer applet. Item number three, I want to actually use a smart plan. So I want to leverage command to send out information about my app. So if I click on smart plans, fourth item down here, it looks like a diploma. If you've never used smart plans before, don't freak out. This page will say you have no smart plans. If you've used them before, then obviously the ones that you have are included there. You can click on library though, and you'll see the 10 smart plans KWRI has already built out for you. And one of those is now called Promote My App. If you want to see what any of these these smart plans actually do, you can always click on View Steps, and then you can see the steps that this app actually, this smart plan goes through. So the first thing it does is sends an email, which is ironically going to look very similar to what this page has on it, talking about your app, so they can download it from the email. From there, it's going to wait 1 day, and then has the ability to send out a text as long as you have Twilio connected in your settings. Remember, Twilio is a text-based platform that integrates into KW Command, and it automatically will send out text from your KW Command platform using smart plans. It's not free, just a reminder, right? So it costs less than a penny per text. And I did find out, I didn't realize this, but that's for every 160 characters. So just be careful that you're not sending a monologue. I had one poor leadership member, she sent out a very long text message about bold pivot. And this was like I don't know, it was a lot of characters apparently. And then she sent it out to every recruit she had in her database. So that was like 3,000 people. It ended up costing her about $47. It should have only cost her like $7 or whatever. I can send out 1,000 texts for $7. So it should have cost her about $21. But because she had so many characters in there, it bumped it up way up. So 160 characters for less than a penny per text. Then it's going to wait 3 more days and then send out a second text. And you can see that you can hover over the text and see what's actually being sent out. Okay, so if you want to use this smart plan, which I recommend, you can come up and just make sure you click on Add Smart Plan, and then it'll show up under your My Smart Plans library. If I want to make any changes or edits to these smart plans, I can do that just by clicking on My Birthday, right? Not My Birthday, I'm sorry, My Promote My App, and see, all right, I have the ability to actually make edits to this smart plan. There's a pencil on every one of these smart plans, but if the pencil is grayed out, it means you don't have the ability to edit. If the pencil is dark, it means you do have the ability. So if I don't like what those texts say, I can actually choose to click on edit and then see, okay, great, here's information about the text, here's the actual text message. And if I choose to, I can actually change the message itself by clicking on this text and then changing it. I would recommend that anytime you send out a text with Twilio, that you actually identify yourself, right? So make sure it says, hey, it's Marty with KW. Because remember, these texts are not coming from your personal cell phone number. You can go to Twilio and purchase a local area code. It'll cost you $1 a month. But even then, it's not coming from your actual personal cell. Guys, give me one quick second. Give me one moment. I apologize. I think there's somebody at my door. All right, that's why I love my wife. She brings me random blizzards, but she scares me because she thought the door wasn't locked and she was trying to get in. So I have an amazing wife. She just scared the heck out of me, but she brought me a blizzard, so it's all worth it. So eat that in a second. All right, so you have the ability to edit the actual text within the smart plan should you choose to. Remember, Twilio texts go out from what could be a local area code, but it's not your actual phone number. So I would always make sure that you identify yourself. I cannot get my command app to recognize or link me as an agent, only as a consumer. Danielle, you need to make sure that you've selected yourself as the agent. If you can't do that, reach out to me offline and we'll see if we can't solve that for you. So method number 3 is to put people on this smart plan. So if you go back into my smart plans, you can see I have the ability to add contacts from the smart plan library just by clicking on their name, searching by their name, or I could actually search by tag. So if I wanted all of my buyers to be on this smart plan, I could go down to my buyer tag, and then you would see it would bring up 17 different people, and I could click on select all and put all 17 of those people on this smart plan just by clicking on add to smart plan. I can also add people to the smart plan by clicking on contacts, and I can do it individually per contact record. So if I just added someone to my database, let's say I just added Andrew to my database, and I wanted to make sure that he got on that smart plan, I could click on smart plans, add to smart plan, and then I could go promote my app, decide whether I wanted to start right now or in the future, and then click on confirm from there. The last way is to actually do it through contacts in bulk. And so if I'm in my contacts, the same way that I searched for tags within smart plans, I can actually come in here and I could just do everyone on this page, which would do 50 people. Or I could additionally come in and do a filter for a specific group of people. Let's just say I wanted everyone that was an A and W in my database. I could click on apply. That's going to take it down to, instead of 3,200 people, 318. And then I can click on this box and do 50 at a time, bulk action, add to smart plan, and choose the smart plan from there. So that's the way to get people onto the Promote My App smart plan and get the app hopefully into their hands using that method, okay? Lastly, you have the ability to use social media through command underneath campaign. So it's this megaphone icon here. In order to do this, you do need to make sure that you come into your settings and that you have connected your Facebook and your Twitter, right? Either one you have. So you can see Facebook post scheduling, I'm connected here. Twitter post scheduling, I'm connected there. Once you do that, you're going to come to the social post tab at the very top here. Okay, and once you're in social posts, if you scroll down on the right-hand side, you will see that there are 2 social posts right here that have already been created for you, and they talk about your consumer app. They're already professionally designed marketing photos and professionally designed marketing text. If I want to use one of these, all I have to do is click on this arrow, and you can see it brings up the actual social post. Here's the verbiage. If I don't like this verbiage, I can click on shuffle. It gives me another version, shuffle again, right? Or I can actually click on it and type something in here if I wanted to add or subtract from it. Next, you can see that it's already got the uploaded, the professionally designed marketing piece ready to be uploaded. And it's got the DBA logo. I can come down and schedule this post or publish it immediately. If I want to schedule it, I would just click on that bar, decide what day and time I want it to go out. Let's say I wanted to go out Sunday at 11:15 a.m., whatever. And then I want it to go out on my Facebook page and my Twitter account. I could then click on schedule post. It's going to give me a preview of what it looks like in Facebook, what it looks like on Twitter, and I would easily just click on schedule post. Now you'll see it's going to take me to that week and show me that I just scheduled that for May 24th. And here it is, Sunday, May 24th. I got this post going out. Now I also have a post going out Monday, May 25th, Wednesday the 27th, Friday the 29th. As you can see, I've taught this class a lot. At the very top, it'll actually show you your entire week side to side and show you when you have stuff going out on Facebook or Twitter and when each one of those posts is going out. Now remember, I told you there were 2 posts that you could use here. There's actually a lot more than 2. 2 show up, but if I click on shuffle, I'll get 2 different ones. This one is one I highly recommend using. You're like, Marty, it's just a black box. This is actually the app video, the one that I showed you on that page earlier, the one from Family Reunion. So professionally designed marketing video for your app. That in order to schedule, all you would have to do would be click on the arrow. You'll see here's the information. You can change this or leave it like you have it. You can see the video has already been uploaded. This one defaults to publishing immediately, and yet I can schedule this one as well. And let's say I want that one to go out on the 30th. And let's do that one at 9 a.m. as well. Then I can say I want it to go out on Facebook and Twitter and click on schedule post, preview it. Looks good on both, schedule the post. Guys, that's how quick and easy it was. Would that take me like 5 minutes to schedule 2 posts to go out on my Facebook business page and my Twitter account? Go time block 20 minutes a week to come in and do just this, and time block to put out 2, 3, 4 posts out on your Facebook and Twitter pages. Guys, you could even do, I don't know, plan 30 minutes and do the entire month, because that's how easy. And you can see if you just keep shuffling through, you're going to get a variety of different posts with different information. So it's easy for you to kind of come through. You can see, right, here's 4 different posts. I've got one going out Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Now the video is in here twice. And yet the Facebook algorithm is going to make sure, typically, that not all of my fans see all of my posts anyway. So I don't have a problem posting the same thing twice, because the chances of someone seeing it twice are pretty slim anyway. And if they do, maybe they're like, wow, this is the second time he's posted this. Maybe I should watch this video or check it out. So I highly recommend that you get into campaigns, social posts, and connect your Facebook and Twitter accounts so that you can schedule some time to go through and actually post to those social media channels that you have. All right. Last thing, let's start talking about the interactions that are occurring between the consumer app and your command platform. First things, remember earlier I requested that video tour. Here's the alert that went off in command. You can see I've got that red dot at the top, And here is the video tour that I requested. You can see I taught this class earlier, and there's the other one. So if I click on this video tour request, it's going to automatically pull up my contact record as a consumer, and then it's going to show the actual request. Here's the video tour request that I put in. I can actually click on this and see the listing. Excuse me, here's the actual listing information there, right? And then I can also see view requests, and it'll tell you what days, time of days that I want to see this property and what platforms would I prefer that we utilize. Right? From there, I would call myself and say, great, I actually would prefer Saturday morning. I've got Facebook Messenger, let's do that. Would that work for you? Yep, that'll work for you. I drive to the house, I get in the super key box, I open the door, and then I call my client via Messenger, and I start talking to them as I walk through the house and kind of describe the house. Guys, this is a great tool, even beyond COVID, right? Think about how many times do you work with clients that are moving from a far distance away, whether that's still within the Houston area, or maybe they're moving from out of state. They don't have the ability to come in and fly down every single week. You could just tell them, hey, if you see anything you like, just send me a request, and then I'll set them all up, and I'll actually go do video tours with you via whatever method we're doing. I think it's a great value add when you start to work with your buyers, right? To be able to say, not only can you request an in-person tour, but you can request a video tour with me, and I'll do the heavy lifting and then show you the house via that technology. And you decide, right? You two decide what technology that's going to be. In addition, right, you can see in the app, excuse me, in my contact record, what I was doing in the app. So I created a saved search. Remember when I was searching for Baytown area homes? I can see as the agent now what I did as a consumer. So I can see that as a consumer, I was looking in Baytown area. I created a saved search, and I can actually see in the command side of things that that search was in the Baytown area between 250 and 410, 4+ bedrooms. So it's not a ton of information, but at least it gives me a general idea of what I was searching for. I can also come in and see, oh, it looks like he was viewing some collections. He added this property to one of those collections, right? And so you would start to be able to see a lot of different things that they are doing within the app. My recommendation is every time you come into command, you click on contacts, and then you click on last visited. And this is going to show you people that have been interacting with your stuff, whether that was your app, whether it was one of your landing pages, whether it was your agent site. But regardless, any one of those three are still important. It means that they were on something that you have, right? So if you were looking to make very focused lead follow-up calls, I would come into my command database, I would sort by last visited, and that's where I would start. I would call anyone that had used my products within the last, whatever, 24 hours, week, 2 weeks, depending on how often you're making your calls and how often people are visiting your sites. So it's a great way to kind of track the engagement that people are having with the technology that you are actually putting out there. Last thing, if you do these methods and you want to know, okay, well, how effective are they? How many people am I having download my app? There is a filter for that. So you can click on filters and then click on branded to me, say yes, and then you will see apply. And then I can see all the people that have downloaded my app or registered on my agent site. Okay, so it's a good way to kind of gauge how much interest am I having? Are my posts having an impact? Have I gotten anyone new in? And just kind of see all these people have actually downloaded or interacted with my app or my agent site for that matter. Okay, so it's a quick and easy way to see how effective, that your efforts are, how effective your efforts were in getting people to download your app. So guys, that's pretty much the class. We talked about as a consumer what the app looks like, right? What is it to use the app as a consumer? The different ways to search by landmarks, by neighborhood, by school districts, just by a custom search, right? Bedrooms, bathrooms, price, etc. We looked at the Google Earth view, so we could see the satellite view of the properties. We looked at the default view. We talked about collections, so the ability to save properties into specific kind of file folders for me to easily access in the future. We talked about the ability to create a saved search, so I could always come back into the app and see that particular search. We talked about how to favorite a property, how to hide a property, and how to share a property. And then we talked about all the information that was included, and more importantly, some of the information not included in every listing that's shown on the consumer app. We got into the guide. We started talking about the buying guide and the selling guide, the steps that were included, and how important it is for you to know those steps, right? Have I read through those steps and understand what's happening in each one, so that I'm not inadvertently setting expectations with my client that I'm unable to deliver upon? Okay, so important that you guys read through those steps. And then make edits, should you choose to. Do I want to add steps? Do I want to remove steps? Do I want to edit the information included in some of the steps? And then we want to get the app into people's hands. So we talked about the methods to do that: sharing it within the app, sharing it manually from the consumer tab, using my link, using smart plans, and then using social media to post. And I would do all of those. Your goal is to get this app into as many people's hands as possible. So if you guys have questions, feel free. I know a few of you have been asking them, but let's throw those in right now and see what I can do to get those answered for you. So what questions do you have about the app or about the class in general?
Hey, Marty, when you do the text plans, like what time do those text messages get sent out?
That's a great question, and I'm not 100% certain. I believe the window is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I think it has to do with when you actually add them to the smart plan, but I'm not 100% certain about that. I do know that in the past, there were some issues with it going out at all hours of the day and night, and they put some hardcore filters on that saying no more, like only 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. will they actually fire.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys? Well, like I said, this is recorded, so I will get this uploaded to my YouTube channel. I'll send it over to Michelle and Julia so that they can then send it back out to you guys. And of course, if you have any other questions, as always, feel free to reach out. Let me know how I can help you. Guys, it's Friday afternoon. Go do something fun. Looks like some amazing weather outside. Kind of windy, but still pretty cool weather. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And as always, I'll look forward to seeing you guys during Q3, if not even before. So, Kimberly, you're very welcome. You guys take care. Have a great rest of your weekend.